Now, we also want to acknowledge that Marco Andretti has announced his retirement from racing. From 2006 throughout to 2020, Andretti raced full-time in the NTT IndyCar Series, making 253 career starts until his last one in this year's Indianapolis 500. Then he did a one-off race in the Indy 500 from 2021 through 2025, and towards the end of his racing career, he tried out stock car racing by competing in the ARCA Menard Series, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and even won a title in the SRX Series. He won 2 IndyCar races, Sonoma in 2006 and Iowa in 2011, and when Andretti burst onto the scene in 2006, his first Indy 500 ended dramatically after leading on the front stretch coming into the checkered flag and getting past the win by Sam Hornish Jr. at the very last second. Now, Andretti was never able to break the infamous Andretti curse at the Speedway, but he had several opportunities to win the greatest spectacle in racing over the years and won the pole in 2020. Throughout the day, though, Andretti has been posting videos sent to him by many of his friends and peers in the IndyCar paddock. While Andretti didn't win many races or championships during his IndyCar career, it's clear that many deeply respect him, the graphic courtesy of Andretti Global. Marco Andretti's statement reads as this: "To my family, friends, teams, sponsors and fans who have genuinely supported me for the last 30 years in motorsports, I want to thank you for allowing me the privilege to continue our family's passion on the racetrack. I've had some really fun times behind the wheel in a lot of different types of racing cars. A lot of great memories as well, mostly at the Indy 500. Today, I am announcing my retirement from motor racing and the Indianapolis 500. That totals 20 starts at the Speedway, which I feel so fortunate to be able to say. That is ranked 12th all time. Not bad for a 38-year-old. I am proud of my overall stats at the Indy 500. I had 6 very legitimate shots at victory with Andretti Autosport and ended up with 20% top 3 finishes at the Speedway. It feels accomplishing to me to be able to retire having more podium finishes than my father Michael and the same as my grandfather Mario at the biggest race in the world. I will never forget the rare circumstance of getting to race my dad in the closing laps for the win there, the pressure of participating in a dramatic bump day in 2011, and to a pole position in 2020. That is what the Indianapolis 500 produces, extremes on both ends. That is why I love and appreciate it so much. I am very much at peace with the next chapter in my life. I'm dedicating 3 decades to the sport. I'll be prioritizing most of my time on being a great father to my daughter, Maria, and attending to my other business ventures. I am also coming out with a memoir about my life called Defending the Dynasty, or Dynasty, whichever dialect you would prefer there. Details coming soon on that. 2006 to 2025, competing at the top level of North American motorsport is and has been an honor for me, even in the tough times. That is where I can look back and say I have made my best progress in life as a man. Learning to navigate very difficult dynamics at times and others doubting me made me realize that my opinion of myself is the one that should matter the most. Lastly, a special thank you to a lot of people I respect in motor racing for the kind words about my driving, work ethic, and a true character." Steady's going. Won't feel the same. We're losing another Andretti. It's down now. They're just with the Andretti Racing now. But Kobe, starting with you, what will you remember the most from Marco Andretti's racing career?
Wow, what a career it's been for Marco Andretti, and as you mentioned, Josh, I know he didn't accomplish as much as he had probably wanted to in his career, but look, I've been looking at his timeline on social media on X all throughout the afternoon, and you just see the video tributes, just coming in from lots of people, from his former teammates to peers in the paddock. You had Roger Penske, even saw Rubens Barrichello leave him a special message. It shows you, how deeply respected Marco Andretti, just wasn't just as a competitor, but also as a person as well. But Marco, he's had to, deal with a lot his entire racing career, coming from one of the most prestigious families in all of motorsports. If you're the grandson of the great Mario Andretti or the son of Michael Andretti, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you, to live up to the Andretti name. And that had to be a lot of pressure on him. And and then a lot of drivers, across motorsports, come from racing families, especially the iconic ones, know what he's going through. Graham Rahal left him a tribute video, and one of the first things that come out of Graham's mouth, Graham said that he understood what Marco went through, with Graham being the son of Bobby Rahal, and knowing, what the Rahal names mean, what the Andretti name means, and if you had that name, you're behind the wheel of the car, you're expected, to live up to what your father did, or what your grandfather, did in the past. Yeah, so for the first Indy 500, that was obviously, a really remarkable memory there. You think the young 19-year-old rookie Marco Andretti is going to come out and win the Indianapolis 500 in his very first attempt, only to have his heart broken by Sam Hornish. And we talk about the Andretti curse, a lot of the Speedway, and unfortunately, hate that Marco wasn't able to break that curse, because it seems like, the Andrettis have always had a great opportunity to win that race, but whenever it seems too good to be true, it usually is, and something goes wrong. And I agree with what Marco said. Over the years, he has had a few good opportunities to win this race, but it just wasn't meant to be. And he just had rotten luck in this year's race. His final career IndyCar start, he didn't even I don't even think he got to complete a full lap, under speed, because he was involved in that first, well, not the first crash, but the first crash was obviously Scott McLaughlin crashing on the pace laps. But once the race actually got going, he was involved in that first crash in the first couple of corners, which was really unfortunate to see, Marco's career end in that manner. And all in all, I don't think Marco has anything to be ashamed of. Yeah, he wasn't able to, win a bunch of races. IndyCar wasn't able to win the granddaddy of them all, the Indianapolis 500, even become an IndyCar champion. But at the end of the day, he still, made a lot of friends, that he'll have for the rest of his life, and created a lot of memories, that he'll be telling his daughter about when she's old enough to understand, and his grandchildren in the future if he has some. And one other thing I wanted to bring up about Marco Andretti, he was very impressive in wet weather conditions. Like, if there was one thing that Marco Andretti was really good at, it was in wet conditions. And I remember that race, a handful of years ago on the streets of Detroit when they were still racing at Belle Isle. I think the track was wet, but Marco was on slicks, and we were wondering what on earth is he doing? And it was just really remarkable to see the amount of car control he had under those treacherous conditions. So so Marco definitely had a lot of skill when it comes to car control and all that. And I'm also moving forward, with the Indianapolis 500 in the future, I'm gonna miss people asking one question at the beginning of every month of May: is it Marco's year? That's the one thing I'm really gonna miss, because that was the one question that people ask every single year when the calendar turned from April to May: is it Marco's year?
Two things for me on Marco, and you mentioned, Josh, the series that he ran in. One that you forgot: A1 Grand Prix.
Oh yeah,
in the final year of A1 Grand Prix, he had 10 starts for Team USA. Let me just bring this back up again. Hold on 2 seconds. Should have done this before I started speaking. 10 starts: Chengdu, Sepang, Taupo, Kyalami, and Portimao, with a best of third in the feature race at Sepang in that final year of A1 Grand Prix. So just to have Andretti name in A1 GP was cool. Unsurprising for regular viewers of this show that I brought up an A1 Grand Prix reference. The other thing I'll remember, apart from the 2006 finish, was that pole lap at the Speedway in 2020. And of course, 2020 was the COVID 500. And the videos that were doing the rounds, and the image of the people that were in the gap between the grandstands between turns 1 and 2 that could get there, locals that had rocked up at the Speedway to watch qualifying, the small group of people going crazy because Marco Andretti was on pole at the 500. That it just was cool, really, really cool. It's a shame that the curse was never scrubbed from the record. Marco never got the chance. Of course, he was so close in 2006, meters from getting it done before Hornish pipped him, as you said, Kobe. So yeah, real shame that that never came off, because it would have been just after all those years for Marco to finally break through. But it's a shame that that was announced today, and many happy days in retirement. I'm sure he'll be getting behind the wheel of something, even if it is just for fun, and perhaps he'll be in the back of a Formula One garage in the Cadillac days coming forward with his granddad, of course, with Mario there down there. So at future Grand Prix next season, they will see him in a Formula One paddock. But chapeau, Marco Andretti, congratulations on a stellar career.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be a sorrier sight next year not to have him on the grid for the Indy 500.